There's actually a simple practice that you can do if ever you're in conversation or in an environment where you're stressed, you're trying to find a plane gate that you're running to, you're trying to find somebody, God forbid you lost your kid, you actually want to dilate your gaze. You can consciously do this you can do this even now, just as we're talking. You can start to, you don't move your head or eyes. It's fine to blink, but what you're trying to do is see the periphery of the room, the ceiling. You actually want to see your body in the visual scene that you're in.
Breathing and vision seem to not only affect our state of mind, but also our body. When we're stressed, for example, our field of vision like narrows and we have blind spots, not only with what we can literally see, but also with what we can cognitively see. Can you maybe take us through the relationship that vision and breathing have on our internal state and any behavioral practices that we can use to feel better and see more?
Yeah, so we'll start with vision. When we are relaxed, we are in panoramic vision. Even without moving our eyes or head, we actually have a wider aperture or field of view. Those from special operations communities will understand this as situational awareness. You have to be relaxed in order to see what's going on. Why? Well, the moment that you have adrenaline in your system goes up, your field of view actually narrows. The pupils dilate. So, police will see how high people are by, if people are super relaxed, their pupils are very small. And if they're very agitated, their pupils will be large, agitated or excited in a positive way. When the pupils are large, there's a movement of the lens of the eye, and actually your visual field narrows. You get a soda straw view of the world. So when you're very stressed, you have a narrower aperture and you're actually viewing the world. Just imagine trying to identify something in a scene by looking through binoculars, much harder actually than if you have the entire panoramic view. So stress in the visual system, relaxation in the visual system linked together. There's actually a simple practice that you can do if ever you're in conversation or in an environment where you're stressed, you're trying to find a plane gate that you're running to, you're trying to find somebody, God forbid you lost your kid, you actually want to dilate your gaze. You can consciously do this you can do this even now, just as we're talking. You can start to, you don't move your head or eyes. It's fine to blink, but what you're trying to do is see the periphery of the room, the ceiling. You actually want to see your body in the visual scene that you're in. Actually, your motion detection goes up fourfold when you're in this panoramic vision mode because you shift to a different category of neurons that are much better at detecting motion. Whereas when you go into kind of watchmaker's mode, you are looking for things that are happening over a very small space. And in the visual system and in the brain, this is really the key thing. Space and time are linked. So if you have a narrow field of view, you're actually measuring smaller time increments. You're micro slicing your environment and you're micro slicing it in space and time. Whereas when you have broad swath of vision, you actually have bigger time bins. And here's a good example of it. If you are, you need to get home and you're in line at the grocery store. Nowadays, some places you're even in a mask, which is kind of uncomfortable. And the person in front of you is returning something. It's going to seem like time is going by very, very slowly because you're micro slicing, you're getting higher frame rate. Okay. However, when you're relaxed, it doesn't bother you at all. You're actually batching time in bigger swaths. And so the visual system drives your time perception system. Okay. So if you're feeling stressed in conversation or public speaking or anything where you want to remain covert about that stress and you want to relax in a way that's covert, dilate your gaze. Just try and open up the aperture of your field of view. The other thing you can do is exhale, because in a very straightforward way, inhales speed up your heart rate and exhales slow it down. I'll just explain why that is. You've got this muscle called the diaphragm. The diaphragm is unique to mammals. It's really incredible, but it's incredible because it's a skeletal muscle. It can work voluntarily in the background, or you can take control of it. When you breathe in, your lungs expand, the diaphragm moves down. Okay, so when you breathe in, and what ends up happening under those conditions is that your heart actually, because you create a change in the amount of space in your thoracic cavity, you change the flow of blood through your heart, because as you inhale, diaphragm moves down, there's a little more space, heart gets a little bigger, and the brain sends a signal to the heart to speed the heart up. When you exhale, the diaphragm moves up. There's actually a contraction of the heart in the thoracic cavity. It gets a little smaller. The blood flows faster through that smaller volume, and the brain sends a signal to slow the heart down. Simple way to remember it is inhales, speed your heart up transiently, exhales, slow it down. So if you get stressed, exhaling is the key. Now, there's another way to de-stress, and this is the fastest way that I'm aware of to de-stress. My lab works extensively on this, but it's something that's actually been known since the 30s, and that's what are called physiological sighs, S-I-G-H, sighs. Physiological sighs are actually something that you do every 5 minutes or so in sleep or wakefulness. You're breathing, you're working, whether or not you're holding your breath or you're stressed, every 5 minutes or so, you do this. You reinflate your lungs, because the lungs aren't just two big bags of air. They actually have hundreds of millions of little sacs called alveoli. And remember, you bring in air, you have trachea, it then creates a lot of volume by branching into the lungs. And you have all these millions of sacs that if you were to lay them out would be about as big as a tennis court, huge volume inside of you. And air, oxygen, can actually move from those little sacs directly into the bloodstream and deliver oxygen to your brain and body. When you exhale, you dump carbon dioxide. Now, the stimulus to breathe in is from neurons that sense carbon dioxide. When you aren't breathing enough, carbon dioxide levels go up, and then it forces you to take a breath. So here's the deal. As you get stressed, or if you underbreathe, or if you overbreathe, these little alveoli sacs collapse. So now you can't bring as much oxygen in, and you can't offload as much carbon dioxide. And also they are moist. So because of surface tension, if you just take a big deep breath, let's say you're stressed, someone says, take a deep breath, and you go, they don't open. They don't reopen because they're sticky. A double inhale, with the second inhale being a really kind of sharp inhale, will reinflate those little sacs. So it's so the idea is you take a big deep inhale and then you sneak in another inhale, even if you feel like you're not getting much in. And ideally the inhales are done through the nose. So again, it's inhale and then long exhale through the mouth. That double inhale through the nose followed by a long exhale through the mouth will rapidly de-stress you. So much so that most people find they just need to do it once, sometimes 2 or 3 times, in order to go from a state of real kind of stress and anxiety to feeling completely calm.